Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Will. Today's video is going to be a pen video. So I have this piece of stabilised Chestnut Burl. Change this camera to get a better look. So I stabilised a batch of these a couple of weeks ago. You can see where the cactus juice has cured on it. But yeah, I stabilised with cactus juice. So I had some green dye and I just popped a little bit in just to see how it would work. So I can see it on the outside, so I'm not sure how far it has penetrated into the wood. So we shall see. It's going to be just a slimline kit, or a streamline kit as it's called. So I've cut the blank to size to suit the little brass tubes. I've already drilled one, so I'll just show you my method for drilling. So just take out that mandrel, I don't need that yet. So what we do need is chuck and small jaws. So just pop him in there like that, just lightly pinch it up. And I already have my drill bit in the Jacob's chuck. So it's a little brad point bit, but the brass tube for this requires a 7mm hole. So what I like to do first is just put a small hole with my skew, just so as the bit has something to start on. Probably don't need to do it, but I will anyway. So just a tiny little hole there, just so as the bit has something to start with. So it's just a 600 RPM. So just advance it nice and slowly. So it's gone in about a third of the way, just retract it, go back again. Another little bit, retract. Because you don't want it to get too hot. So I'm out the far side now, so now I can get rid of the Jacob's chuck and finish with that for now. So now for the glue in the brass tubes. So there's the little brass tubes. So they come unscuffed, so a little bit of 120 paper. I just scuffed them up so as the CA sticks. I have this little guy as well, it's just as handy for pressing them in. But you can use a pencil, a piece of a dowel, whatever you have. Now use a little bit of medium CA and a little bit of activator here as well. There's loads. Just push it in. Just once it's below the surface there, that's fine. I will just give it a little shot of the activator just to help it go off. That should do the job. So that's one. The other one. You can mix up a little bit of 2-part epoxy either if you have it. So you see a tiny little bit there, do it a little bit. Shaky hands. So now that's the tubes all glued in. So now guys, with the tubes all glued in, I left them for a few minutes so they're nice and dry. So as you can see, below the wood is the tube. So what we need to do is trim the wood that it's flush with the brass tube. So there's a couple of methods you can use. This is what's called a barrel trimmer. You can just put it into your drill, battery drill, electric drill, whatever you have, and that just trims that down. But I have a little sander here. I find it just that little bit quicker. So what I'll do is I'll go over and do that. It's just behind me, so I hope this camera here will pick it up. And it does. So job done. So now as you can see, we're just down to the bushings, so nice and flush. So now to get rid of this board, so what we need next is pen mandrel. This is the one from Axminster. There's several different types. So as I said, this is going to be a slimline pen. So or Streamline. The only difference is with the slimline and the Streamline has a slightly wider center band. So this was a Burr, so there's probably no grain match in it. If that was a pen with nice straight grain, usually what I would do is when I cut it, I just put a pencil line on it so I can offer it back up. So as when I put my pen together, I can get or when I'm mounting it on the mandrel, I can get a grain line up. But that's not going to be the case here. So no, there's nowhere it's lining up anywhere. So anyway, so put on the first one. And this one has a slightly wider one. So these are 7mm bushings. I'm not sure what this one is, probably near 10. So he goes in the middle. Second piece of wood. 7mm bushing. And just this for a spacer. Bring up the tailstock. And just give it a light little pinch. Not too much. Because you don't want to put strain. This is only a little 6mm bar. So you don't want to put too much strain on that. So that's loads. I'll bring over the tool rest. Now we're good to start turning. So what I like to use for turning pens is it's a 3/4 inch continental spindle gouge with a 40-degree bevel on it. So that's what I use. You use spindle gouge, roughing gouge, carbides, whatever you have, whatever you're comfortable using, skew even. So I'll be turning this quite fast. Let's see, can I zoom that in another little bit? There we go. So I'll be turning this quite fast, probably up around 2000 RPM. That's 2100 RPM. So just slipping a little bit, so just tighten up the tailstock a tiny little bit. Now we stop and take a look. So that's a lot of the bulk material gone. So I can still see a little hint of green, but not as much as I would have liked. So because this is a little bit of Chestnut Burl, there's probably going to be little voids like this in it. I might have to just put a little bit of CA glue in. So I might actually do that now on this one, because it looks to go down quite deep. So now we can turn it down a little bit more. Just standing out of the way, just checking I don't get a face full of CA glue. Now we'll stop and take another look because we're getting close to the bushings and there is a little cavity there, so that needs to be filled, and there's a couple of little tiny ones there, so yeah, that one definitely needs filling. So what I'll do is I'll just get a little bit of 120 grit sandpaper and just see if I can fill that cavity with a bit of dust. From the same piece of wood, and I'll pop a little bit of CA on it then. Because it went down quite a ways, that one. Now just give that a little bit of activator. So now I can take it down to the bushings, and what I might do then is I might just put a layer of thin CA over the whole thing before I sand it, and that should stabilise it then the rest of the way. But so far so good. But unfortunately a lot of the green colour hasn't stayed, which was a bit of a bummer. Because here's another one I had done, and you can see it was fairly prominent on the outside, but anyway, it's one of those things. So now I can take it down to near enough to the bushings and it'll be good to sand then. So now I'm down near enough to the bushings. So what I'm going to do is now I'm just going to take my skew and just use it as a little, like a negative rake scraper, just to get it the shape I want. And we see how it looks. So that's cleaned up quite nice. And I've got no chip out, which is good. So actually I don't think I need to put CA glue on. So now I can get it sanded. I'm happy with the shape. Now that's the sanding all done. I sanded up to 600 grit. That sanded up quite well. So now what I'm going to do is apply a little sanding sealer. So I can see a very slight tint of green in it, but not too much. But I don't mind because it's a beautiful piece of Chestnut Burl. So now just let that dry in and I'll get a second coat on it. Now just let that dry. It usually dries pretty quick. Now, last thing, a little bit of Yorkshire grit. So it's just an abrasive paste. For these slimline pens, I don't usually go too crazy on the finish. Just sanded sealer, Yorkshire grit, and a little bit of wax. That's it. For higher end pens, I usually polish them or lacquer them and then polish them. I used to do CA finishes the whole time, but I gave up on that idea. It's too much work. It's too much work for what you get out of the pens, you know, in my book. I'll just bring the speed up a little bit now. You can see that black coming off. That's from the bushing. So I'll switch to a cleaner piece. So now that's the Yorkshire gritting done. So with a little bit of denatured alcohol, I'll just give it a little clean off. Just get any little residues of the grit that might be left. That's one pretty piece of wood. So now for a little bit of wax. Now for the finish, microcrystalline wax. This is sold by Hampshire Sheen. I think it's called Pen Turner's Overcoat or something like that. So just put a nice layer on. Like that. Clean piece of paper towel. I will just give it a buff. So bring the speed up. See that shine appear instantly. So now on to the next stage. We'll get the pen put together. So now I am set up to press the pen together. So as I said, this is a Streamline kit. It has a nib, little transmission, refill, clip, center band, and the cap nut. So we'll leave those there for now. So the first press will be the nib. So just like that. No waste of money. So now next piece is the transmission. So just move this lead down a little bit. A bit more. And just lightly press them in. You can see the line here on the pen. Hold on, I'll zoom in a bit. So there's a line on the transmission here where you're supposed to push it in, but I always like to stop short of it about 1 millimeter anyway, at least. Because if you overpress it in, what happens is the nib is sticking out of the pen. So we put it in and just do a test fit. So that's tight now. So we open the transmission, so the nib is barely coming out. So I know now I'm safe to go. But sometimes when you're sanding down to the brass tube, if you take a little bit off the brass tube, it can shorten this piece. So if you push this all the way down to the line and then you realize that when it's retracted, your nib is still stuck out of it, that's what happened. So now we'll just give it another half a tap. Just a little bit more, and that should do. So that's just spot on there now. The nib is just out the right amount and it's retracting perfect. See, the black of my hands had reacted from the bushings and the abrasive paste, the Yorkshire grit. So now, So next stage is we can put the center band on. And then we have our second tube, our second piece of timber. So that will take the clip and the cap. So obviously it goes into the thinner end. See, it's a little bit wider here than there. So the wider part is the middle. So what I like to do is at this stage, if you had a little area where you weren't quite happy with, it had a little defect or something like that, you could use the clip to cover it. But with this, it's pretty good all the way around. So I'm not really fussed where it goes. So we'll just stick it there. So now just bring this back a little. More. And press them together. So. And then just press them together. There we go. So now there we have it all put together. Our little Streamline pen. I think it's quite nice. It's a pity the green wasn't a little bit more prominent. I can see, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but I can see pale hints of green in a few places in it, but yeah, just wasn't to be. I didn't put enough of the dye in the cactus juice when I was stabilising it. As you can see, most of it was on the outside, but it didn't, it was faded as it got into the wood. The wood must have filtered out the pigment or something out of the dye or out of the cactus juice. I don't know. It didn't go in anyway, so. But anyway, I'm happy enough. As I said, Streamline kit, yeah, quite like it. It's a beautiful piece of Burr as well, so it's quite nice. As I said, I've a craft fair coming up, so I needed to do a few pens. So I said I'd just share one with you. So hope you enjoyed the process, guys. And if you do, tap that like and subscribe if you're not. And hopefully I'll see you back in a future video. So take care everyone, bye for now.